Now, over £21 million has been raised by the Disasters Emergency Committee to help more than 600,000 Rohingya Muslims who have fled the violence in Myanmar. Well, here to talk more about it is the DEC's Director of Communications, Nicola Peckett. Good morning to you, Nicola. £21 million sounds like an awful lot of money, but when you're looking at the scale of the Rohingya crisis, does it even scratch the surface?
Yes, it does. I've just returned from Bangladesh, where I was looking at the work of some of the DEC member charities and how they've been using the money so generously donated by the British public. So I was looking at the work of ActionAid, Save the Children and the British Red Cross. And over the course of the next few months, we're going to be able to help 250,000 people with clean water and sanitation, and more than 200,000 families with food parcels. So we are able to make a significant impression on it. And overall, the British government as well has been a very generous donor to the relief effort.
The world is really sitting up and taking notice now of the Rohingya crisis. I know MEPs are meeting in Strasbourg today to discuss the crisis after evidence was presented to them by Sky News, because we have been there, like yourself, and seen what's been happening. What are some of the stories you've been hearing from the refugees about why they fled Myanmar?
Well, I mean, the stories were pretty consistent and really, really upsetting. So a lot of people told me how they were doing their morning prayers or making breakfast when their villages were suddenly attacked and people's throats were slit. One of the things I couldn't get over was the number of times, I don't speak Rohingya, people went like this and said this is what had happened. They talked about how babies were snatched off mothers and thrown into fires, how children were thrown on the floor, how dead bodies were left in paddy fields. One woman, which I'll never forget, said, they left the dead bodies for the dogs. How can anybody do something like this? And the stories were pretty consistent and really devastating.
It's just a scene painted of absolute horror that these people have fled from into Bangladesh, where you've been working with them. And that money, like you said, is helping them with clean water and day-to-day life. But in the long term, these people, there's horrors that you've described that they're telling you. They're going to need consistent help. So it's not just about raising money this year. It's going to be a long-term effort by the DEC.
I think it is. The psychological trauma that they've experienced is something that I think will take a long time to get over. So one of the things I noticed when I was there is the aid effort is in full swing, and there's loads and loads of people walking around with their aid, hundreds of thousands of people. But one of the things I noticed was it's very calm, so people are feeling safe. They all said to me that they're so happy to be able to sleep free from fear. But when I asked people what their hopes were for the future, nobody even seemed to understand the question. And it was one of those things that really, really struck me, is that they couldn't even conceptualize what was next. They were just so happy to be safe in the moment.
Well, that is the big question, isn't it, for organisations such as yourself and governments around the world? What next for those 600,000 people? Where do they go?
Well, the Bangladesh government has done a pretty good job of hosting them, and the aid effort is in full swing. But what we don't know yet is what the timescale is that we're talking about, and which is why, the generosity of the British people to help alleviate the immediate needs of people has been fantastic. But there is talk of repatriation, and there is a plan to repatriate. But really, we would have to know that those people are going to be safe when they return, that their status within Myanmar is going to be sorted out, because one of the things, that has caused people to leave is that the Rohingya people don't have an official status inside of Myanmar. So all of that has to be sorted out. And I don't see those people wanting to return anytime immediately soon, unless they feel that they're going to be safe, and this isn't going to happen again.
Okay, well, Nicola, you paint a terrible picture, but doing good work there, which that £21 million is certainly helping with. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Jackie is here because the sport is coming up next. Hello.
Yes, hello. Louis van Gaal, bar humbug. He's called Jose Mourinho boring.